He had never imagined that a quiet Tuesday evening would turn into the kind of night he'd remember for the rest of his life. Jake Matthews, a single dad juggling 2 jobs to make ends meet, was driving home from his second shift when he saw something that made him slam on the brakes. On the edge of the deserted road, under the dim glow of a streetlight, lay a woman. Her clothes were torn, her hair matted with blood, and she wasn't moving. Panic shot through him, but so did a surge of determination. He parked haphazardly, jumped out, and rushed to her side. "Hey, are you okay? Can you hear me?" he called, his voice trembling. There was no answer. Her breathing was shallow, her body limp. Jake carefully lifted her into his arms, careful not to worsen whatever injuries she had. Driving as fast as he could, he muttered prayers under his breath, the city lights blurring past like streaks of hope and fear. At the hospital, doctors rushed her in. Jake paced the sterile corridors, his mind spinning. He didn't even know her name, but somehow, it felt like his life depended on her being all right. Hours passed. Finally, a nurse emerged, her face softening when she saw him. "She's stable," she said. "But she's paralyzed from the waist down. You did well getting her here." Jake exhaled, relief washing over him, but it didn't last long. The nurse's next words froze him in place. "And her family is on the way. You might want to know who you just saved." Jake's heart skipped. "Who?" "She's Catherine Reynolds." "The Catherine Reynolds, she's one of the most influential philanthropists in the country. She funds shelters, hospitals, education programs. She's been changing lives for decades." Jake blinked, stunned. A wealthy socialite, someone he'd seen in magazines, in headlines, and yet here she was, beaten and helpless, no one around to notice but him. He could have walked away. After all, she could easily repay someone like him. But he didn't think like that. He had 2 kids to feed, bills stacking up and barely enough sleep. Yet somehow he understood what mattered. The woman in front of him was human, vulnerable, alone, and deserving of help. When Catherine regained consciousness, her eyes fluttered open, and she tried to sit up. Jake gently held her hand. "You're safe now," he said softly. "I've got you." Tears welled up in her eyes. I don't even know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't have to," Jake said, forcing a small smile. "Just take care of yourself." Over the next few weeks, Catherine remained in the hospital, and Jake visited daily, bringing her favorite sandwiches and telling her stories about his kids. Slowly, a bond formed, an unspoken understanding that money, status, and fame meant nothing when human life was at stake. One evening, as Jake helped her adjust in her wheelchair, Catherine spoke. "Jake, I want to do something for you. Something big. You've saved my life." "Let me save yours." Jake shook his head. "I don't need charity, I just did what anyone should do." But Catherine insisted. She helped him secure a scholarship fund for his kids, provided resources for his family, and even assisted him in starting a small business. His life, once defined by struggle, began to change, not because of luck, but because of compassion and the choice to act when it mattered most. Months later, as Jake watched his kids play in their new backyard, he realized something profound. Heroism wasn't about fame or wealth. It was in the small, selfless acts that ripple through the lives of others. That night on the roadside, he didn't just save a woman. He reminded the world, and himself, of the power of human kindness. The person you help might seem untouchable, unreachable, or beyond your world, but in truth, we all have the same heart. And that heart, the choice to care, can change lives in ways you'll never fully see, except in the smiles, the laughter, and the hope that follows. Jake never imagined that a simple act of helping someone would change the trajectory of his life. Weeks after Catherine had been discharged, she invited him and his kids to her city home, not as a socialite showing off her wealth, but as a woman who understood what it meant to be vulnerable and truly seen. The day he arrived, Jake felt a mix of awe and anxiety. He had always lived modestly, worried about bills, rent, and putting food on the table. Walking into Catherine's sprawling house, however, felt like stepping into another world. But she greeted him warmly, with none of the cold formality he had expected. "Come on in," she said, her voice gentle. "I want you to see something." They walked through halls lined with photographs of people whose lives she had changed, each image a testament to her dedication. Yet her eyes sparkled as she turned to Jake and his kids. "This," she said, "is about you now." To Jake's shock, she revealed a foundation she had been quietly establishing for everyday heroes, people like him, who acted selflessly without seeking reward. She offered to fund his small business, ensuring he could provide a stable life for his children. Jake was overwhelmed, but it wasn't the money that struck him. It was the recognition of something he had never thought mattered. Kindness had weight, compassion had impact, and suddenly the invisible struggles of a poor single dad were seen, honored, and lifted. Months passed and life slowly transformed. His kids laughed louder, slept easier, and dreamed bigger dreams. Jake worked harder, but now with hope instead of constant worry. Occasionally, he would catch Catherine's gaze across a room and remember the night on the roadside, the night that had rewritten both their stories. One evening, as they all watched the sunset from Catherine's backyard, his daughter whispered, "Daddy, you saved her, right?" Jake hugged her close. "Yes, sweetie." "And she helped us too. Sometimes helping others comes back in ways we never expect." In that moment, Jake understood a simple truth. Life isn't about fame, wealth, or recognition. It's about the choices we make when no one is watching, the courage to act, and the love we pour into others. One small act of selflessness had created ripples that no money could buy, teaching him and his children the most important lesson of all: humanity thrives when we dare to care. And somewhere in the city, Catherine smiled quietly to herself, grateful that she had been reminded of what mattered most, not what she had done, but who had reached out when she needed it most. The world, she realized, was a better place when hearts met hearts. No matter the differences in circumstance,